can go ahead and get started.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
How's it going?
No, I mean, in all reality, we've had 7 scrimmages so far. We've been outside for 5 of them. So that's a good place to start when you're asking me if we're ready. But overall, I like where we came back from Christmas break and veteran group, so they kind of know how to get ready. And from there, it's just, tighten everything up and getting ready for next week.
What's different now? I know you've done some stuff where you've kind of had some head coaching responsibilities, but what are you noticing now?
Now as we get, into season mode, obviously like running a program, you got to do the fundraising, the events and all that. But now since we're past that, it's, for me, the biggest difference just trying to have a good relationship with our pitchers. I can't just be the position player coach or the hitting coach. So I've taken a lot of pride in that. Obviously, I'm not maybe coaching them hands-on, but I've been around the game at a lot of different levels, so I can see pitching through a different lens, and obviously I'm going to be making the moves in the game for pitching moves. So, you got to know your guys and what they can handle and can't handle. So that's been a big emphasis of mine and a big change for me.
How much are you going to rely on Deck with some of that stuff? Because it's, G and Love, for example, he kind of let him do a lot of that stuff for a long time. But.
Deck will do most of the preparing and then kind of take me through the opposing team, and I'll do my end of it as well, just from paying attention how we want to manage the game. And then as we get in the flow of the game, Deck's main responsibility during that point is going to be calling pitches. And when you're in a rhythm and in a flow with a pitcher, that's every 20 seconds you got to call one. So I think that's where I need to really step up and factor in and start thinking an inning or two ahead. And then obviously I'm not going to coach third base anymore. So being in the dugout both half innings will help. Deck and I have some conversations about how we want to move forward in a game.
You don't have G around. I mean, you look around and
no, he's around.
Yeah, but
no, he's on the dugout though.
Yeah, and on the dugout. I mean, with that, is that a strange feeling?
Yeah, it'll be a little different, but again, like the transition's been good, we got, I can't even remember how many years of professional baseball experience we have in our dugout, but when you're in pro ball, man, it's just second nature to run a baseball game, right? So once we get going, we'll be fine, and I'll get used to the ins and outs of it. I got to remember to go to the plate before the game, and not G, that was his thing. But no, we're excited, and we'll miss having him in the dugout. But he's going to be around. He's going to do some radio stuff, and obviously he's been helping with fundraising too.
What's the latest on Bogey?
So he broke his handmate, which is a hook bone in your hand. So it's his bottom hand as a left-handed hitter. We're going to give opening day a crack. Call it questionable, game time decision, whatever you want to label it. I don't know if there's any injury rules for saying those things, but he's in a pretty good place. He's recovering well. With that injury, you can't hurt it anymore because they take the bone out. So from there, it's just, what's your pain tolerance? How do you get rid of some scar tissue and keep building? So he's in a good place. I like where he's at, and next week will be a pretty big test for him.
When did that happen?
Couple weeks, let's see, a little over 2 weeks ago. So it's typically a 4 to 6 week recovery, and I think opening day is exactly 4 weeks.
Coach, is there anybody else that you're going to have to go without their services here at the start of the season other than Caden? No,
I mean, we're pretty healthy right now. A few bumps and bruises, but that's as expected. But nothing too significant. So just day by day and make sure guys get healthy, and Bogey was the big one. But again, I guess the timing wasn't the worst case scenario. It was exactly 4 weeks. So, but we got the depth. If we don't have him opening weekend, we'll be just fine.
Keeping him. I mean, that was a huge thing at the end of last season. Was just wondering how you could keep a freshman that big, and just what went into keeping him in Maroon.
Yeah, relationship number one. I think he values building something here. If you look at our roster, we really haven't lost anybody we didn't want to lose. Sure, there's kids that moved on because of playing time, but I think that just speaks to how we run the program here. But he wanted to be here. Relationship with the coaches, opportunity to play center field here is big for him. And look, we've had 6 first-round picks here, 23 big leaguers. If that's his end goal, he can do it coming out of this place. So. But obviously, we love to have him back. I understand it's the nature of college athletics now, but this is where he wanted to be, and we got a great locker room, and he's a big piece of it.
And we talked about it when it happened with Zach, how you were secretly fist pumping when it got out of range for him to be taken in the draft.
Yeah.
Just what are you noticing from that 1-2 when that's as powerful as it gets across the country?
Yeah, no, I think, he would agree with me. Like, after not being drafted, like, probably he needed to take a step maturity-wise, and he's done it. I mean, probably our most even-keel player this preseason. Like, just solid at-bats, not too high, not too low. That's where he needs to be. You mentioned having him and Bogey as kind of a 1-2 punch, but you put Rodriguez and Gollert around him, and then Jake McCutcheon, Max Knight, Carter Bergman, Curry Sutherland. Like, the lineup's pretty tough to get through. So those guys definitely. We win the get off the bus challenge. That's what I've been saying. We're physical, and those two guys definitely help that area. So
last 2 seasons, and going into this year as well, right? Offense has not been the issue.
Sure.
Pitching has definitely got to improve.
Yep.
How does this year's team not make the same mistakes of last year's pitching staff?
I mean, obviously, like, personnel is a big piece of it. I think we were maybe a little short talent-wise. So how you look at it coming back, with the returning pitchers we have, like, number one, got to take a step forward, got to make an adjustment. I think those guys have done that. A couple of the guys are going to be in some different roles early on from last year, and a couple of guys are going to, in my opinion, grab onto a pretty big role. And then bringing in some new young talent. I mean, we are extremely talented on the mound when you're talking about our freshmen. And you're going to see what we roll out this year and how many innings we're going to rely on them. But like I've told people already, these last couple weeks, we're not really going to treat those guys like freshmen. They're mature and they're ready for the opportunity. And then just deck overall, like new philosophy. I was telling someone the other day, this is our first time having a pitching coach that really didn't have ties to, like, Missouri State, right? So some fresh ideas, and I think that's helped a ton. And they've thrown the ball well preseason. I'm really happy with where our pitchers are at. There's one more step for them to take this week, and we'll be ready to go.
How much starting pitchers the first weekend, Joey?
Who are they?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who just yet, but I can tell you the 5 that are in the mix. Some sort of combination: Charlton, Yusupchak, Holmes, Schaff, Thomas, Slater. Somewhere like that. We got some options. Max Knight also, too, can kind of be some sort of a swing guy, whether it's a starter or a long reliever. But he's also going to play, first base for us and hitting our lineup. So got to get creative with it. But we got some options. Not ready to peg the official rotation just yet. Get through one more week of scrimmages, and then we'll go from there.
How much are you going to have to do when you bring up Max Knight, just pitching, playing first base? How many of those are you going to have this year?
Well, Curry Sutherland's one of the returners that took quite a big jump offensively, but then this preseason he's been pretty lights out on the mound too. So, got to get creative with how you get those guys in the game. For those 2 guys, who goes and plays first, who goes and plays third when they pitch. All those things, when do you have to use them at DH to save their arm a little bit? So a lot will go into it, but we're going to use them. We're going to have to rely on it. When you have a 30-man roster, you got to peg one guy as 2.
Rosters. How are those conversations going?
Yeah, pretty good. Feel good about where we're headed. I don't have anything sort of concrete right now, but I can promise you that Biff and Patrick want to be competitive going into Conference USA, not just football, basketball. Like, they care about baseball, and that's huge when you're a head coach and you're coaching at a school like this. You need the support. So we have it, and I just don't have any direct answers yet.
How is McNeil looking after being out with Tommy John last year?
Yeah, great. Another guy that's been in the program that we're excited about taking a step forward under deck. Right now he's a guy that's going to factor in probably 6th, 7th, 8th inning. A guy that has to get lefties out, and again, I liked where he's at. Like, right now in the preseason, this is actually something I learned from Coach Beard. You can't spend too much time just evaluating your guys against your own guys, because we only play each other, right? So for me, I pay attention a lot just how guys bounce back, and he's one that didn't have a great outing in the middle, but came back last week, threw the ball well, and that's what you need out of relievers. They got to have a short memory.
You guys are going to be the last competition in the Valley.
Yeah.
Your thoughts going through this last and then kind of ending the era for Missouri State in the Valley.
Yeah, I've told our staff, I kind of feel like we kind of have a target on our back. Not gonna lie, I don't pay attention to the preseason stuff too much, but for a long time we've won this league. Had a ton of draft picks, regionals, all that. So I think people want to beat us, and they know that we're going to want to go out on top, and that matters to us. But this team's got a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of an edge. That's what we need. That's what I want, and we're going to need that in the Valley because people are going to be gunning for us. But I hope that we can send Missouri State University out on a high note and win our last Valley competition.